This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, I'm Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And welcome back to another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet.
For those of you who are new or just joining us, we are a queer podcast.
Pun intended.
Talks about cannabis,
the LGBT community,
and everything in between.
and beyond.
So welcome.
Welcome.
Ooh, this strain this week. This strain. So I want to preface this that a lot of times when we buy products to review, we tend to pick them up when they're on sale or in bundle deals going on. So I got a couple Savvy brand products back to back. It's kind of all we have right now that's not ingestible, but I was kind of taking a break from the ingestibles because that's all I did while I was healing. I would like to inhale some cannabis for a hot minute. So I got Apricot Stomper 8th from Savvy, and boy, was it good!
Oh, it is so good.
So they say it's an indica. It's got 22.808 THCA, 1.192% THC, and 0.789 CBGA. Now, this is where I'm a little confused on why they're calling it an indica. Mostly because if you're going off the terps, it's more kind of sativa leaning, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of terpenoline in there.
Yeah, it has 0.803 terpenoline, followed by 0.289 beta-myrcene, 0.178 osmine, limonene at 0.114, and everything is 0.0 and below.
Yeah.
Like 0.09 and lower. It was really good. I really liked it.
I like it too. It's really nice.
Yeah, it was very smooth. It's very easy to grind.
I did have two different methods of having it. Because I re-upped.
Yeah.
So first I had a joint, and then I went back and put it in Benson Honeydew.
Her bong.
They whipped them out because they weren't as dirty as my other. Live Bong is way past needing a cleaning. But yeah, it smokes well, both joint and bong.
Yeah, and I've been doing pipe because I feel like if I do the full cones that we have from Blazy Susan, that'd be a bit too much. And even just having a small little pipe that we got from MJ Arsenal, that was a bit too much for me, and I got a little too high. But I'm not counting that against it. It's just more of I got to figure out where my tolerance is because I kind of took a weed break.
Yeah.
So I would honestly rate it a 4 out of 5. Mostly just because it was, like I said, it was really easy to grind, really easy to pack, beautiful taste, beautiful bud on it. It wasn't super dry. The things I am taking off for is mostly just, while it was nice, it was still kind of compared to some of the other things we've had from Savvy even. And I feel like it was just kind of like a one-trick pony with just the terpenoline.
Yeah.
And the bud, while it was nice, it has a very stemmy. So the trimming, I think, could be a bit better.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't terrible.
No.
So, and they are going down in price. They have dropped to $35 eighths, which are really nice. And I think they are worth that. You know,
Yeah.
in comparison to the rest of Pennsylvania's market. Like, I want them even lower, but like it's kind of next to Terrapin with lowest, and like I think that's kind of a nice almost 1-to-1. They're a little better than some of the Terrapin strains, and I think it's only like a difference of $5 between the two. So I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see these prices go down even further. We have talked about on the show previously that Savvy and then the higher tier line of the Verano stuff, like the Essence and the Reserve, were like $45, $50, and it was like $5-10 difference. What did you think on it?
I don't know. I liked it. It was like a 4 out of 5 for me. I feel like I would probably buy it again. I also just really like terpenoline. I don't care if it is just the terpenoline, in my opinion, because that's usually what I go for. So
Yeah, no, I feel like that's more of a like a personal thing for me.
yeah,
But like I'm very much of kind of giving a little more multiple effects. So I really like it with high myrcene, high terpenoline together. That's a really good combination for me. I just if you're like, hey, I need something for just this, that's fine. But if you're like, hey, I want something that'll help with this and this, I don't think it's a good flower for that. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like I need something to help me with focus and my anxiety. So I'm like, okay, well, let's get terpenoline and limonene together. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, there was a big topic I wanted to talk about real fast. Because I was doing a little like media diving and everything. Um, and So it's recently come out, um, thanks in part and kind of spread thanks to this website called Redux, which I'm not 100% sure of their stance on a lot of things, but they have talked in this article that they wrote was they were the first one to talk about a trans athlete getting a scholarship to the University of Washington. And thanks to Rayleigh Gaines, who is a women's uh, swimming athlete who has been very vocal about her anti-trans stance, especially after competing against a trans swimmer and neither of them winning. And she was, raising help for that.
hmm
Um, that this scholarship has been rescinded, even though the student whose name I'm not going to say their first name because I don't know how if that's their actual first name or their legal first name in the article, so I don't want to actually accidentally dead name somebody.
hmm
But their last name Dragest, I think is how you say it, or Dragset. Um, they were offered a position in the University of Washington's women's volleyball team for the college, and as a Division I team, they had a full scholarship, and they already verbally accepted. Um, you know, going to that school. And University of Washington had Instagram posts about, hey, here's some of the students who said they're coming to, they're accepting our scholarships. They're going to play on sports. Well, apparently, a former, uh, another volleyball player, I believe at a different school who's competed against Draxess has come out and outed her, um, and said that she, spewing these whole transphobic things that were, kind of taught to her, and saying that Dragest is, a man, and all these other transphobic things that is very disheartening to hear. And now, lo and behold, it's actually come out on light that Dragest has been on hormone blockers and testosterone blockers, and it's only 17
hmm
and has had their puberty still stopped. I'm not sure if they're on HRT yet, but it has been noted online, and other people have talked about this, like Aaron Reed, who is the big trans activist that we sometimes quote.
hmm
Um, that like it's come to light that you know Dragset's levels of testosterone is no different than other girls on her team. Um, and it's just very disheartening to see, other, people basically ruin this kid's career because, like, now she can't go to a college where she wouldn't have to pay for anything. Play a sport she's obviously very passionate about just because she's trans.
Yeah.
Um, so I did a little digging, and I actually called the University of Washington, and I was told to send them an email. And so this is basically, my email saying, my name, first spoken out of the closet. My show is reaching out to speak with someone from the university about the rescinding of a scholarship for a transgender athlete. And here's our contact information. I appreciate it. I get a response from a Victor Balta, who is the media contact for the university and the vice president of the university, saying that NCAA rules prohibit universities from commenting on any student athlete who has not signed a letter of intent, regardless of whether or not they are actually being actively recruited, even in instances where media reports or other individuals are making speculative claims. So it's weird that they said speculative claims on that one, because I'm like, okay, but it's come out that this person has lost their scholarship, and the only thing that changed from point A to point B was she was outed against her will, without her consent. She was outed, and I get the NCAA has these rules, and that's fine. I'm not gonna try breaking the rules of a program that usually protects their student athletes. So I wrote 2 emails without response, and it's been over 2 hours. So I don't think I'm going to response back again. I said that is understandable. May I ask the follow-up questions? Does the University of Washington prohibit transgender athletes from competing on teams based on their gender identity? Better yet, as this is for any potential student that may be accepted to your university, which the language I'm saying does not break the rules per the NCAA, because I checked. Does the University of Washington protect LGBTQIA plus student athletes? And if so, what protections are there for ones being outed without their consent after being told they were awarded a scholarship to your school? And nothing. Crickets.
Damn.
Now, lo and behold, the University of Washington on their actual school website does say they have an LGBT resource, like a resource center for students. There's certain outreach programs at the school that they can sign up for, and this is what they say on the top of their page: the University of Washington supports a culture of inclusion and provided protections from discrimination and harassment for individuals based on their sexual orientation long before such rights were recognized by federal or state law. It's funny because you have LGBTQ plus resources, but you're just talking about sexual orientation. Do you forget what the T is for? That's something different. Like, yeah, cool, we get it. You're in Washington State. This is not a sexual orientation issue. This is a gender issue.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to talk about state and federal law, saying like in 2006, Washington State had this law about prohibiting discrimination based on sexual orientation. And then Title IX, how it was updated. But like, still, it does not feel like they're actually protecting students.
Yeah.
Unless it's ones that are in their that they're already signed up for. That they're already, basically contracted with the school, because technically it's just in this gray area. So they're kind of like, no, you were outed. We don't actually have to like follow these rules because technically you're not one of our students, so go fuck yourself. And that's what it feels like to me.
That seems exactly like what it is, especially if they're not going to comment on it.
Yeah, and I because here's my thing, right? They've had ample time to kind of comment on everything, because the first article was posted 5 days ago, and then kind of blew up that same day, if not the next day. So the University of Washington kind of has had the chance to kind of fix this as a PR stance, and honestly say that, and I get it. They still have to follow those like those athlete rules and everything, so they can't say too much. But they could say like we stand with trans athletes,
Yeah.
we stand with actually put their money where their mouth is. And if their thing was rescinded for another reason, at least say that like, hey, it's not because of gender stuff. That we can't comment fully, but we are in supportive of our transgender athletes or something.
Yeah. Find a way to get around show your support around the things you can't say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's weird because like you and me both went to Penn State, and we were both at the main campus, and we lived in the area afterwards for a hot minute. Like we've seen shit happen at Penn State, and they were like quick with
Oh,
the
yeah.
PR stuff. Like same day, if not next day, like addressing it. So I'm very confused why this school hasn't, and either it's a lot smaller, or they're just trying to get their ducks in the row, or PA is just so used to scandals that they're just quick on it.
I don't know.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you want to go with your article or
Yeah.
your topic?
I have two of them. Which one do we want to start with? No, not my Amazon order. Okay, so let's start with this one. It's from Marijuana Moment. I think actually both of my articles are from Marijuana Moment.
That's fine. We like the folks at Marijuana Moment.
We do. Shout out to Marijuana Moment. This was published 5 days ago on December 13th as of recording this episode. Pennsylvania lawmakers approve a bill to allow more medical marijuana companies to vertically integrate. Pennsylvania legislature has sent a bill to the governor's desk that will allow more of the state's medical marijuana growers and processors to act as retailers and let more of the state's retailers grow and process cannabis. The Senate signed off on the House changes to the bill on Tuesday, and it now goes to Governor Josh Shapiro. Under current state law, no more than 5 of the state's 25 grow processor license holders can hold dispensary licenses. Others must sell their products to a licensed dispensary, which in turn can sell products to patients. As proposed in the bills heading to Shapiro's desk, SB 773, all 10 of the state's independent grow processors could receive. Sorry, I got a notification that you sent me a TikTok a while ago. All the grow processors could receive a dispensary permit that would allow them to operate up to 3 retail locations, and all independent dispensaries would be eligible to grow and process marijuana products. Supporters have said the changes will make the state's medical marijuana industry more competitive by allowing more participants to engage in commercial activity. Fiscal note posted last month also estimates the reform would bring in nearly $2 million in revenue from applications and permit fees for subsequent fiscal years. The state could expect to generate about $90,000 annually. Some of that revenue would be offset by administrative costs, and the health department would take on processing applications and oversee the permitting.
Now, when was this article written?
This article was written on December 13th.
13th. That was early in the week. That was like what, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Because our friends over at KCRA PA on Instagram did a little piece on it. And it's funny because the day after, on December 14th, Shapiro actually signed it into law.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of wanted to give a little extra on that because they do talk about it a little.
Yeah.
So it was officially approved by Shapiro last week. The bill, gives independent processors, which you talked about. Did you say about the fees? I don't remember that.
The fees generating money back into the state and
how much the fees will be.
How much the fees were? I don't think my article stated that.
Under the law, there will be a $5,000 non-refundable application fee and a $30,000 permit fee for each dispensary location, which kind of sucks. That is a lot lower. I will say a lot lower than what the MSOs have been paying.
Can I also point out that's a lot less than a pawn store license in the state of Pennsylvania. That's $100,000
Yeah.
for a pawn shop license in this state. I'm sorry. I did learn that the other day.
No, it's okay. It's good to share. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
But it's not enough for like mom and pop shops to open up yet, like
Yeah.
small businesses. So I mean, if you want to start as a grow facility and kind of get everything off, up and started, that might be the best way right now before you can actually get your own family-owned dispensary chain.
Yeah.
But those fees are also really expensive to get a grow facility up and running too.
Oh, absolutely.
So it says the law also permits the state's few remaining independent dispensaries to apply to be issued grower processor permits for a fee of $10,000 with a permitting fee of $200,000. The law is supposed to be scheduled to take effect April 12th, 2024. Which, can we just say, real fast? 2024 is around the corner.
Where did 2023 go?
I don't know, but we've been doing this podcast for a hot minute.
We have been. Good grief.
But still, 2023.
2023 is over almost.
I still feel like I'm mentally in 2020 at times.
Yeah, sometimes yeah.
Is there anything else we want to add with that topic?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I want to save the other half for like the other half of the podcast. But I do want to remind people that there is a couple other bills. There is 869, which is a standalone home grow bill adjustment for the medical program. And then there's 846, which has been kind of in like purgatory. The DUI reform movement, which is State Bill 363 and House Bill 983, are just kind of dead on arrival and just sitting there. So, I mean, definitely contact, your local representatives up to your state representative in any way, like the governor, a senator, everybody in between you and them. And we can get some change, but it's going to have to actually take us to call people and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will say, Pennsylvania, we are lucky in where most of Pennsylvania, they actually do listen to their people. They actually listen to their constituents and actually like try working on things.
Yeah.
That being said, there are still a lot of politicians in this state that look more for their self-interest or the interests of the people lining their pockets, which we shouldn't have politicians like that, in my opinion.
Absolutely
on
not.
Any side of whatever political spectrum you want to look at. If you're going to be in politics, you have to listen to your people.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, I feel like I had another short topic I could go over. Oh yeah. If you're Catholic, I don't know anybody who listens to this that is Catholic. But if you are listening to this podcast and you're a Catholic, hi. I'm assuming you're cool with all this. But the Pope just said that Roman Catholic priests can marry same-sex couples.
Aww.
This Pope is weird. Like, this Pope is like pro-trans, pro-gay, like, what's pro-Pokemon? Like, what's with this Pope? Like, is he good? I mean, he's cool. It seems to be
like it so
doing
far.
cool, so I'm like...
Interesting.
I'm not sure what's going on, but okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was scrolling looking for like some news articles earlier today, I saw that and I'm like, huh.
How about that?
Maybe I should bring that up a little bit because like I don't know all the nuances because I wasn't raised in any specific religion.
I thought you were going to just say Catholic. I wasn't raised around any Catholics. Most of my upbringing was like What the hell were we? Presbyterian, I think is what my mom is. Bob is Jehovah's Witness, which that didn't stick at all. And then Bible church later, and then I don't know. I don't know how much of that works.
Yeah, I don't know the nuance thing, but if because I know there's gay like Christians and stuff, so I'm like, that's really cool that you like it's being recognized.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think the Bible, because like I've read the Bible a few times, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a very long time since my last go through of it. Because I would used to make notes and everything in my copy to like kind of combat some of the hate that people were using the Bible as a weapon. And I'm just like, I don't think they mention marriage at all. Like they say certain people, like this is like Joseph and his wife Mary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't specifically say marriage is between a man and a woman.
No.
They just give examples of married couples.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, you're right.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right.
It is very weird because I'm like, it's like the whole Ben Shapiro, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of conservative Jewish folks out there, and some of the anti-trans stuff that's come out, and I'm like, there's 6 genders in the Torah, and did I miss the class in my Jewish mysticism course in college, which was talking about Kabbalah? Kabbalah, I think that's what it's called. Been a minute. But it was like I don't remember. Yeah, Kabbalah. I couldn't remember the proper pronunciation on it.
Okay.
It's been a few years since I've been in college, guys. Cut me some slack. But like I did take a course on that. The way I got into that course is funny because like it said mysticism, so I thought that was gonna be like paganism and stuff like that, and then I saw it was like Jewish based. I'm like, I'm still intrigued.
Yeah.
I'll keep this. But yeah, it was weird. I don't remember. Like we read the Torah and a couple other books. I'm like, I don't get where you say transgender people aren't a thing when, or like there's only 2 genders that are like there's 6 in the Torah.
Yeah.
I don't get that. And just conservatives with any religion, I find fucking weird.
They really are.
They use religion as a weapon, and I hate that. I really do. Because I was watching a TikTok earlier today, and this one guy was saying like how religion, like the mystery of like how life started and everything, and like what's our purpose is such a big mystery, but religion is a way to either give it some shape that we can comprehend, or is a blanket that we're able to kind of see it without fully diving into the mystery. It's giving like a very simple metaphorical explanation of the mystery and everything. And I'm like, I like that, but we shouldn't be killing people over that.
Yeah. No, I honestly feel like religion has been a stepping stone for people of how do these things work? Well, we're not sure. Like you said, this is our best estimate. This is how we're going to tell the story of what we think has happened and the things that we need to take from that. But also, I don't know. It's if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, it's not our cup of tea, but
No.
if you're happy, cool.
Just don't hurt other people with it. Don't be a prick. Don't be a jagoff. Come on.
And it looks like we're actually at that time for a break.
That's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, it is. Pretty in Pink and purely wood pulp derived, Blazy Susan pink rolling papers and cones will add a pop of color to your next smoke sesh. Their classic pink papers are naturally dyed, vegan, GMO-free, and food safe. They contain no amounts of heavy metals or pesticides unlike other paper producers. Care about what goes in your lungs with Blazy Susan papers and cones. Use promo code BGSOTC20 at checkout to get 20% off with your friends at Smoking Out the Closet. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $50 in the United States. Alrighty, and we are back. This next topic, I'm using the thing I saw on TikTok as a jumping point here for a couple of things. So apparently last year, there was a wedding in Florida where the catering company and the bride and groom were all arrested and brought up on drug charges because, for one reason or another, the food, some of the food was infused with cannabis, and apparently sent 7 people to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, and it has been blowing up on TikTok again. Was first brought up by Vague Crimes on TikTok, and then people just keep stitching it, green screening it, basically sharing reefer madness over and over and over and over and over again. So I would kind of want to use that because it is over a year old now. I want to use that as a jumping point, to kind of talk about what shouldn't have happened and what is reefer madness specifically on this. So a good thing when you're giving out food to people, if you are providing food that is infused with cannabis any way, shape, or form, or you have food that is in the fridge that is infused with cannabis in any way, shape, or form, that food should be marked, whether you live in a medical state or recreational state, I don't give a fuck. That food should be marked with cannabis. Not, and it could be just your adults, but like, I'll use us as an example, right? If there is, say, a cookie in the fridge or a thing of brownies in the fridge, I use that stereotype.
Brownies.
I'm gonna eat a brownie, knowing that more often than not, you and me make brownies for us when you guys do make brownies, and they're kind of for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't know there's cannabis infused in it and I need to do stuff, like I need to go to work, and you know how edibles hit me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be that high at work. Now, say I do have a bad reaction. Say, I'm one of those people who develop CHS, cannabis hyperemesis syndrome or something like that. And I get sick, that's not fun. And I'm not saying that all of those people that were sent in the hospital had those experiences. Given the benefit of the doubt and how rare it is in humans, I'd probably say one of those people maybe at most had it.
Yeah.
But it's a thing of consent, right? And that's where I kind of you're picking a bone with this, because and why it's so important is if you did not consent to have cannabis in you, if you did not consent to be high, if you did not want that feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should not be forced into that. So it's a damn it, Azzy, now I lost my train of thought. You're
so
still
sorry.
in the vape pen out of my pocket, and now I lost my train of thought.
I tried to put it back in, and then you were like, "Oh." I stole it pretty sly, though.
No, you didn't.
No?
No, you didn't.
I thought I did.
I was trying to ignore you. Get out of my pocket.
I'm so sorry. I derailed the whole thing. Anyway, you shouldn't if you're putting drugs in food, let the people know, because if not, you're non-consensually drugging people, and that is not a fun time.
Mhm.
Speaking from experience.
So, like, yeah, it's just be careful, because it's a thing where we need to be just a little more cognitive of making sure that other people are okay, and most people are. It's like when I made uh cannabis infused sugar, I had it in a old, very visible, you can see through it, like a sorbet container almost
Mm-hmm.
from the grocery store, and I put like I did with the restaurants I worked in. When I marked something and labeled it, I put one on the front with painter's tape and one on the lid with painter's tape, wrote what it was and the date I made it.
There you go.
And hell, sometimes with that sugar, I went and I put the name of the strain. No idea how to what levels or anything, because I didn't know the math at that time.
Yeah.
But then the other part is the reefer madness going around with this that is kind of driving me nuts a little bit, because everyone's like, see, this is why we shouldn't have weed, and stoners are bad, and like weed could put people in the hospital. Well, I'm not trying to say that these people didn't feel like they should have gone to the hospital, or they didn't end up having like a medical issue, because I always give benefit of the doubt, and I'm not saying that like I'm not a doctor, so I can't say 100% certainty like these people didn't. It screams of reefer madness.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that gets me the most is that some people recognize it and they just realize they were high, and they're like, why am I high? I don't want to be high. Why am I high? I think we're high. And then people felt like they had to go to the hospital, and I think they just got too high, and they got that anxiety feeling with it, and they got the chills. And instead of being a proper host to the event, the bride and groom or whoever the catering company was, whoever infused the food was like, should have been like, you're okay, here's some water, chew on this peppercorn, let's do some breathing exercises,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get them down. They just gave, and these people end up having panic attacks and not realizing that they were panic attacks, and went to the hospital, because that is kind of a scary thing for the first time. If you don't know you are prone to panic attacks, it's not a fun time to get one, and a
Not at all.
weed-induced one is strong at times.
Oh, yeah.
And hell, it could have been something that was really high in pinene, and gave everybody massive panic attacks. That happens. Because dosing just gets a little strong. But the thing is like, normally you don't have to go to the hospital.
No.
If it's weed, you don't need to go to the hospital.
So was it actually weed?
It was weed. It was weed. They tested it.
They were testing it was weed.
It was weed.
Well, then I'm just curious what happened to these people.
I think they had really bad panic attacks because they overconsumed weed, or they had it with sugar like I do.
Yeah.
Like I can't do weed and sugar. I get really bad.
They just freaked out and went to the hospital.
Yeah. And I get that.
That's understandable,
that feeling's not fun. But like, I feel like I've had worse feelings puking my guts out after drinking an entire bottle of MD 2020. Yeah, I know.
We were at the liquor store today, and I went, look, they got the
No, I said, look, they had the and you're like, what? And I pointed at MD, and you're
I
like,
went the yeah, they got the
So yeah, the kind of, the whole short and skinny of it is, if you're going to make edibles, make sure they're labeled, and make sure people know that whatever they were eating is infused with cannabis.
Perfect example. I was at a party, and there were brownies at the party, sitting in the middle of the drink table. And we were like, ooh, brownies. But weren't sure if there was cannabis in them. They didn't say there was. We assumed they would probably be labeled if they were, but we double-checked with the host to make sure, and they were like, nope, those are regular brownies. So, They're real good.
Mm.
But yeah, always try to double check with your host, see if your host knows if you're at a party or like something like that. And you think something like that might be there.
And also, like, say you're in California, you're having a weed wedding, right? It or Colorado even, like I've seen those in both states. It's kind of assumed stuff is infused sometimes, so just be careful if you don't want to ingest edibles. Just make sure, or if you're having a weed-based wedding and you want to have edibles, make an edible table.
Mm-hmm.
Like make a table that literally says edibles and then regular one that says food. And make sure kids don't get into it. For the love of
Absolutely.
God, make sure kids don't get into it. Do you want to go over your topic?
Sure. So I just recently found this Newsweek article, which the
Oh God, this one.
the title, I was like, what in the fuck is this? And I had to click on it. Russian official fears men licking ice cream has gay undertone.
Now, keep in mind that Russia has been on a kick with this whole anti-LGBT stuff lately. They've been raiding, clubs and everything and arresting people. And a lot of the things that are going on in Russia are being repeated here in the United States. So, whenever anyone who is any sort of shade of the rainbow says, hey, Russia's kind of what we're afraid America's turning into, there's a lot of reason why. The mentality of what's in this fucking article.
An official in Siberia has said that a promotional image of two men in summer clothing enjoying ice cream in sub-zero temperatures should not be displayed because it was connected to, quote, non-traditional relationships. In November of 2022, Russia's parliament passed a law banning, quote, LGBTQ propaganda, which criminalizes any act regarded as an attempt to promote what Russia calls, quote, non-traditional sexual relationships in film, online, advertising, or in public. Since then, the crackdown has gotten tougher, with Russia's Supreme Court last month classifying the LGBTQ plus movement as extremist, even though no such organization exists as an entity. And then next in the article, you actually get to see the tweet from Kevin Rothrock on Twitter.
It's like two college guys walking outside.
It's literally a picture of two dudes wearing. Hold on, there's a bajillion pop-ups. Wearing, this one guy has basketball shorts on and a red shirt. This other guy has a red shirt and like pants on, right? And they're just eating, and they're not even licking the ice cream cone. This one guy's just taking a chomp out of it in the snow, and the thermometer says negative 33 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to actually, it said it was a promotional photo intended to showcase how tough the local men are. But the Novosibirsk cultural official thought that it was suspiciously LGBT and he didn't want to see it displayed ever again.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's another thing. Is like it reminds me of that one. This is old, and I can't remember what country it was in, but there was this one priest in Africa, and we always make a joke about this one. And it's he was talking about like homosexuality, and he goes, "It is a sickness," and he talks about how like obviously has no idea how gay sex works. He's just basically being fed like lines and things he's been taught by other people, and he goes, and they eat each other's booty holes like ice cream, and he puts his mouth like a donut and puts his tongue through it. He's like, and he eats it like ice cream. And I'm like, it's the one where I get the quote, "It is a sickness,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, dude, no, A, it's not.
No.
B, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, obviously, but it's that same kind of vein. If you eat sprinkles, Johnny, you're gonna be gay. I wouldn't let my kid play with Barbies. He's a boy. He needs to play with action figures. Yeah. Like gay boys haven't fantasized over He-Man or any of the G.I. Joe action figures.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience. What?
It's like me with my Barbie dolls. My Polly Pockets.
I guess it's my turn again now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we've bitched about this company, I think, once in the past.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to give I want to talk about it a bit more in depth because I didn't realize how big they were till recently. And so I've been out of work for a minute. Like, I'm still not back at work. I don't go back to work until next week. Or actually, no, tomorrow. I go back to work tomorrow.
You work tomorrow?
I do work tomorrow.
Oh, wow. When do you work?
I think 8 to 8.
Wow, I'm going to be home alone tomorrow. No. Mia will be here tomorrow.
Yeah, you get that appointment with Mia.
I was like, oh, that was going to be here. Mia will be here.
I forgot about that. But anywho, so, I've been reading the emails every day, still. Oh gosh, it's just weird now that I'm going back to work. I've been off work for almost 2 months. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I've been reading the emails, and MJ, and you talked about it because it's not just my story. Anytime MJ goes down, it is state fucking wide.
It's everywhere, and also other states use MJ.
Yeah.
So any of the other states that use MJ, they're down as well. And oh my gosh, does MJ just like to go have a hissy fit in the middle of the day?
And it's weird because like they were bought out, and they are owned by a different company, but it's still not the greatest system or anything. So we're talking about MJ Freeway, and it's weird because of all the systems. It has been around for one of the longer ones, about as old as Dutchy.
Yeah.
And it, in my opinion, has some of the worst issues out of all the programs. It is basically like running Java in today's world. Like it doesn't work, but it's hard because in the state of Pennsylvania, all the dispensaries, like the state is contracted with MJ Freeway to be using MJ Freeway, and so it's hard because like sometimes, like we were talking about at my work's holiday party the other day or yesterday, whenever that was.
It was yesterday.
If it goes down, sometimes it could be 6 hours before it comes back up, and we just have to sit there.
Yeah. I've had this. I think the longest I've sat there was like 3 hours. Luckily, that's all the longest I've had to sit there.
Yeah, but it's hard. It gets bad sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel bad for the patients because my thing is, okay, if say I come in and I'm getting my medicine for a hot minute, I know I'm not going to be able to have the funds. I'm going on short-term disability, using myself as making a hypothetical situation, right? And I know money's going to be tight for a minute, so I'm going to get my weed now and have it for when, I'm at home not working.
Yeah.
It's the only day I have off where I can do this. Because I'm going to be healing from a surgery and I can't travel for a minute. Lo and behold, MJ goes down. And it's down. And it's down. And it's down. Store closes. I can't get my weed. And that sucks because there's some patients who are elderly who have to like ask like their kid or their grandkid or their nephew or whoever, a neighbor, to give them a ride. Because some of them don't have caregivers they can count on, or they don't trust people to be their caregiver.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for them sometimes, or it's hard for the people who are caregivers, which our fucking system sucks for caregivers because half the time it doesn't even freaking work for the caregivers.
No, it's ridiculous. And I feel so bad being up front trying to get caregivers straightened out because MJ just makes it so difficult.
They do. And apparently they changed it a little bit since I left. Like certain buttons are now flipped.
Oh yeah, MJ had an update. It's gonna take a little bit because whenever you go to check somebody in now, when you go to hit check in and the box comes up to scan the license, the ID, the save button is no longer on the right hand side; it's on the left hand side, and everything's just a slightly different color.
I don't like that. That's not good for people who are neurodivergent.
No, I don't like it either.
But yeah, MJ sucks. It's a
Mm-hmm.
shitty program, and I hate that our state is stuck with it. And I see the Reddit posts, and I see it when you guys get upset. I do see it. And I'm specifically talking about r/PA medical marijuana.
Yeah.
But some of you guys have to understand it is not our fault as bud tenders. We do not control it. It's some company out in Colorado now that owns it, and they're the ones that do these things. And we can't control it. We really fucking can't. But that segues something in I kind of want to talk about as well that I talked to you a little bit that I also saw on that same subreddit. Labels on jars.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to name names or anything, but this person on Reddit posted a product with a corrective sticker on top. I think it had two technically on top of a jar of flour. And they were accusing the grower processor and or the bud tenders, like the grower or the dispenser, of basically having old flour and then putting a new sticker on it to try selling it. Something that is like 0.001% unlikely, like likelihood of actually happening.
Yeah.
Now, as a bud tender, as you're a bud tender as well,
In a sense, sometimes.
yeah, we've seen these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to say why these things happen, or a couple reasons?
Why the
Why the label, like the
oh,
label?
why the yes. Yeah. So I know a lot of our issue with stuff that's coming from our grow right now is that the QR codes won't scan on the back. You can't scan things into the system.
Mm-hmm.
So if your barcode won't scan, the next thing is to either print stickers in house, which then you have to have another sticker on the box, or you have your grow send you more labels, and then you put them on top of the pre-existing labels. So that way you can scan them into the system.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just something small like address to be compliant. Like, I'll look at the product now. Like the address for the location it was made could be off. The location that it's going to, like the little stickers of like, hey, this is the dispensary you bought this at, could be a little off too. Which was the top labels of what this person had on their container. But the side one they first brought up was like the terpene profiles and the CBD, and like the levels were a little bit different.
It could have been different lab results. They could have had the wrong lab results for that product, and they wanted to fix that before it went out on the floor.
Because you got to think, like human error happens a lot, and a lot of these things is okay. This is Apricot, Stomper, batch, like series of numbers ending in 1, and the lot number is like series of numbers and letters 01, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, but we had 01. We needed the results for 2.
Yeah. And they might be slightly different than the batch results from 1.
But we have to make sure that the correct results are on the correct packaging. And sometimes it's easy to mix up because they're right next to each other, and it's a 1 number or 1 letter variance sometimes. And it happens.
And a lot of different grows package a lot of different things all at the same time.
And the thing too is also, like, a lot of people don't realize is, unlike I worked in a factory. Like, a factory job was what I first did when I got out of the military. And I will say this unashamedly, I made tampons for a living.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference is the tampons were individually sealed. While they were kind of a medical product, because they were individually sealed, if we put them in a box and the box was incorrect, we just basically took them out, put them in the correct box.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with weed.
No. Because
Like,
as soon as you open that, you can't sell it.
exactly. Like, it is now null and void. And it is not it's a sanitation issue and it's a health issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you really can't just say, oh, we opened this jar, it was old, or we got this as a return, and we just basically resealed it and put a new one in. You can't.
Yeah,
Legally, you
can't
cannot.
not do that.
Now, does it happen in PA? No. Can I say it does it in other states? No, I can't. But if this company does it, it's really fucking shady.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the company the person was talking about was Maitri.
What?
Yeah, it was a Maitri container. I don't think Maitri's pulling shit like that.
No.
Can I see like True Leaf doing shit like that?
Absolutely.
Sure. But Maitri, no.
No.
And this isn't like a brand thing. It's more of just kind of we know people kind of thing that work in these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And like, or other states we've seen some of the issues. But like, honestly, because of how tight of a grip everything has to be and how everything is inspected and numbers and everything with PA, the likelihood of like any of these things being changed from one lot to another without any like it's like, oh, we accidentally like they have to actually tell the state they accidentally put the wrong label on it.
Yeah.
And be like,
and then the state has to go, okay, yes, you can send the right labels out. Which ones are the labels that you're sending out? And they have to send a picture of the labels that they're sending out. And then they go, okay, those labels are okay to put on the package.
Like literally, if with cannabis, if you sneeze wrong, the state knows about it.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that is it highly regulated? Yes. There's a lot of bells and whistles that go into weed. That being said, the likelihood of something like this happening where they just said this is old, we're going to put a packet like a label on it, very unlikely, because the moment something goes into the expiration phase, if it's still in circulation, the state knows it and they know that it needs properly disposed of.
Mm-hmm. That's why all those numbers and stuff are on there, because everything is accounted for, where it's going, how long it's been there, who it gets sold to, if it gets sold, if it's still on the shelf, and it needs to either get returned or destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Or returned to be destroyed.
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing is like, this isn't going to happen, but people don't know that, and that's part of the reason why we do this podcast, is so people do know it.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, once again, my name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And this has been another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet. Bye.